blessing from above. I is the king. Clean up on no heart and point to the better no. Get to youth you must give thanks and praise. It's so sweet. Get to youth feeling righteous life and be straight. Blessing from above. I is the king. Clean up on no heart and point to the better no. Get to youth you must give thanks and praise. Holy for things of one feed the black them should know. Unity and strength, Father, make them white as snow. Fighting for black population could have grow. Burn out the wickedness and evil plan. We can't overstand. One, two, radio culture. Radio culture on the sabbatical morning. Yes, when you hear the Naya Bingy drum beat on the sabbatical morning via the power of the internet, you know it's time. It's the time. Groundation. Yes, indeed, this is black people talking to and about each other, not talking across from each other. This is I and I sharing knowledge and wisdom and understanding. This is us transferring knowledge from family to family, from people to people, and securing our future as a people in every aspect. And that's exactly what we are talking about this morning. This morning, we're going to be talking about something that is vital and essential for every person. I'm talking about food. Vital food. And yes, I'm very excited to be talking to this guest of mine this morning. You know why? This is one interview where I am going to be learning more than asking questions. I am actually here to learn. This morning, when we were checking in with a guest, she messaged us and said, what kind of questions would you be asking me? And I said, you know what? Nah, I haven't even thought about questions. I just want to reason about food this morning. Food as we know it, not food as has been tampered with and all type of things done with it. Let me go straight on the line right now and introduce my guest for the sabbatical morning. I will let her introduce herself because, to be honest with you, I feel like I might not do complete justice to introducing her as pertains to what she does. So let me just mention her name and invite Miss Amina Awudu, popularly known on social media and other spaces as Dodogo, onto the line. Welcome, Dodogo. Welcome to Radio Culture.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored and glad to be here with you and to the listeners. I'm happy to be sharing with you today and then learn alongside.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. First of all, I will have you tell us more about yourself because I only just chanced upon you myself, right? And I'm like, how come? Because you're doing all this amazing stuff. How come having heard, and I just chanced on a video on YouTube with one YouTuber called Sindalco or something like that, and I was like completely blown. So I followed your thread and, I checked some of the stuff you were doing and I was like, wow. First of all, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Okay, so I'll start with my name. Awudu Amina. That's my surname anyway.
Okay.
So Awudu Amina and a Dogumba from Northern Region Ghana. Kamali basically. And I'm a traditional food advocate. Essentially a traditional food advocate because because I have a history of growing up in a traditional background, a very indigenous background.
Mm.
And then with my grandmother basically, and then she was a very traditional woman that taught me all these meals that I know that I make. And then growing up somewhere in 2009, after I read my BEC and traveled to Accra to stay with my aunt, who was married to a Black American, I couldn't eat their food. They were almost always making perfume rice, continental. I've never, so I was literally being called a villager, like in the Bible, it says a Bambla.
The irony of it
She was,
all.
yeah, she was disgusted at me because I could not eat their meals. Every now and then I have to go out and buy TZ. Then she suddenly started calling me Sam Lana. Literal translation is TZ seller because I would not eat their food. It was nauseating, you know. The perfume rice was nauseating. It was making me
What was the
nauseous
name?
and
What was the
hot.
name again? What was the name she called you again?
Bambla and then Sa'anlana as in TZ seller because I will eat TZ. And you know in
All the
Accra when you're
time.
selling TZ, it's always with ayoyo. It's always with ayoyo.
Yes,
But
yes.
I was okay eating ayoyo every day with
Why
TZ.
not?
Then come again.
I said, why not? Why not?
Yeah, I was okay with that because I could not just like I said, the perfume rice was nauseating. It was such a turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I came back to Tamale and then I went to school and then I feel like things were slowly. I mean, you don't see it changing overnight. It's a gradual process. People are abandoning and then forgetting their traditional meals. We are adapting and then we feel like we are growing. We are how do I put it? We are being enlightened. And then we are just slowly, gradually abandoning our indigenous meals. So somewhere 2014. I in my house, in my grandmother's house, my auntie was a parboiled rice processor. My grandmother made various recipes out of traditional ingredients. So this was what I was used to. We made rice balls with local rice. But in
Mm-hmm.
2014, it suddenly, I don't know, took me by shock when I went to buy rice balls and it was made out of perfume rice. My test bars are used to local rice being made, rice balls being made out of rice, local rice.
Real
Me, I grew up
rice, for
eating
that
rice
matter.
balls.
Real
Yeah.
rice.
How are you suddenly making, rice balls? The chop bars in the restaurant. Why are you suddenly making rice balls with perfume rice? It didn't make sense to me. And it didn't taste like how I knew it. It was
Mm-hmm.
different. And I feel like, what is happening? I was actually, as young as I was actually angry because this is so different. It didn't feel the same. And that's my favorite food anyway, rice balls. So it just didn't make sense, like I said, and I felt like someone should do something.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a TV, our first TV that ever came to Northern Region, NTV. I felt like I, I, I went to a media school before I came up with the concept of the Dugu to showcase the preparational processes of making indigenous meals on TV. So that was the first concept. The original concept was to show people on viewers how to make traditional meals and also to
Mm-hmm.
revitalize them just so they don't forget and also hold it in high esteem and reintroduce them to their modern dinner tables. But then the concept sort of died off because I didn't get sponsorship to stay on TV. I shot a few episodes, we aired it was interesting, but then I couldn't go on with it. I just stopped and I went to
Which
media
network
school
aired
because
it?
I was
Which network aired it?
come again.
Which network aired it? Which network aired the few episodes you shot?
Northern Television. It's
Okay.
called NTV, North Television.
Okay.
So
In
it was the
Tamale?
first TV channel. Sorry, the second actually. It was the second, but it's the first that stayed like this long. It's still on, but the rest that came went off. So it was the first TV station that stood in Tamale until now.
I
So
see.
that was where it was being aired. Just about 3 or 4 episodes that were aired, and then we went off set. So somewhere 2020, my uncle called me, and I have a belief that it is food. I believe in food being a medicine, food
Yep.
as medicine,
Absolutely.
and I also believe in our indigenous food have the potential, like the nutrients to sustain us to sustain us. Sorry, to sustain us health wise.
Mm-hmm.
But because we are and also about food security. Here in the north, many people think they are broke, or maybe they are
Yep.
not able
Yep.
to put food on their
Yep.
tables because they are over dependent on exotic meals. But then I believe in food being around us, but because we are oblivious or ignorant of the food around
Yep.
us, or because we undermine it, or because we are over dependent on exotic
On
meals,
other
we don't
sources,
recognize.
exactly. What's
I don't.
around us.
Hello.
Yep. Yep. I can. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you clear.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So because of this, like there are a lot of trees. We have edible trees around,
Mm-hmm.
edible greens around that are being forgotten, slowly being
And
forgotten. It's just
and
the
you know what?
old
You know
folks
what?
that.
Amina, Dudugu. How can I call you? Because you said your surname is
So
I,
I'm
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 I will
Amina.
do
I'm
Amina.
Amina.
Can I call you
My surname
Amina?
is
I can call you Amina,
yeah. You
right?
can call me.
Good,
Yes, I'm Amina.
good. So this is the thing, Amina. Well, this is what really blew me. This is what swept me off my feet when I saw your video. There was
Mm.
a mind-blowing array of herbs and edible spices and herbs and greens and stuff on the table in front of you. I didn't even
Yes.
know there were that many herbs to start with present in Ghana to start with, right? Let alone that's just from the northern part of Ghana. That's amazing.
Mm.
But let's get to know you better. Are you vegan, vegetarian? What? Because so far we have established that you are an advocate for traditional food, but you have a joint,
Yes.
right? I think you have a joint where you sell food and stuff like that, or you serve food to
Yes.
people, right? It's a vegan joint,
Yes.
is it?
Yes.
Are you vegan?
So I serve vegan meals, but I'm not vegan.
Okay.
I tried going vegan some years back,
Mm.
but then I couldn't because honestly, it's hard. It's not easy. It's not all the time I cook my own food. It's honestly not easy. I don't
Mhm.
know about any. To go vegan here means you have to make your food every now and then. You have to
Absolutely.
cook every day.
It's a commitment.
You
Mhm.
can't go out and buy food. There are no vegan bars or restaurants here, so
Mm.
you either
But
you
you
either
have
go
one.
with
You
the
have set up
tribal
one. So that's actually a very good service. But anyway, my question is answered for that. Now, my other question to you, right, is what is the meaning of Dudugu? Where from the Dudugu? Because I don't find the Dudugu in your name. It's not an acronym from your name or anything like that. What does it mean?
Okay, so Dudugu means kitchen in Dagbani.
Kitchen in the what?
Dagbani,
Oh,
my
in Dagbani, in
dialect,
Dagbani. Okay.
Dagbani.
Oh, okay.
That's that kitchen.
Nice.
But
Nice.
also that one is also being forgotten anyway because
Wow.
there's a Hausa word for kitchen which is jara.
Mhm.
And the Gombas, we like adapting, and then I don't know, every language sort of adapts and they still
Mm.
do it. So we have sort of
Wow.
adapted the jara, and many people are used to calling kitchen jara instead of
The
indigenous
indigenous word
word for
Dudugu.
edugu.
Wow. So
So
you're
many
actually
people don't
preserving
know, and
much
I'm
more than food. You are actually preserving the culture, the fabric of
yes.
your people. That's beautiful. How old are you? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm 30.
That's amazing because I've seen your pictures on social media and you look like you just crossed the 20 line, you know. And I'm not surprised about that
Yes.
because of all the foods that you are exhibiting, which I believe you are also eating a lot of. Let's get into that. What you were segueing into before I distracted you, so to speak. You were talking about the variety of foods that are available, right? Up
Yes.
north.
We have
Mhm.
so we have
One
the
second,
peas and the
let me add this to it so you can answer my question, with that as well. Because I grew up in Kumasi, right, where
okay.
food from the north is not strange. It's everywhere. However, I only knew very few of them, even though I lived in a very I lived in a part of town where it was very populated with, first of all, Muslims and also people from the northern part of Ghana, right? So I'm very
Yes.
familiar with the foods. However, When I saw your video, I realized how little I knew about the foods from the north. I knew about
Mm.
ayoyo and all of that, but you had about 30 different herbs and spices. You had things that I had never even heard of. Tell us about some of these things.
Okay, so I didn't also just know them by chance or because I grew up in Tamale. I had to learn and then do research and ask
I
old
see.
folks.
I see.
Yeah, because I knew some of them, but not all of them.
I
Not
see.
many of them. Uh-huh. So I because of the concept that I had, I was asking around. Like I said, I did research. I was asking old people,
Mm-hmm.
like the kind of meals that they used to consume when they were younger that are no longer available. Then they will usually just mention their names to me, and I ask them, so why are you not eating them anymore? Then they will say it is when you depend on them now, people see you as people literally
Old
undermine you,
fashioned.
and then think is poor people's food. That was what I was told.
Yeah.
It's poor people's food.
Yeah.
An example is the kipop tree. The tender leaves were used to make soup, and then when you ask them, when they talk about it in a nostalgic way, you realize they used to enjoy these meals. They love them, but
Mm.
you don't understand why they don't take them anymore because people will just essentially tag you as a poor person,
Are they
you
still
know, and
available
then
though? Is my question, because we also know that with all the environmental pollution and all of that, the north hasn't suffered too much of that really. But in the south, for instance, all the galamsey and all the nonsense, it's wiping a lot of our species away, right? Are some of these things also readily available that they can make a choice whether to even have that in the first place rather than go for the synthetic foods?
they are available. Honestly, they
Mm.
are available. Like the rainy season like this, we have wild edibles that are in the market right now that are being sold. So some of the domesticated vegetables have their wild versions, and during rainy
Hmm.
season like this, during rainy season like this, the village women forage for them, bring them to the market to sell. Just recently, I went to town. There was this wild edible ayoyo. You know the ayoyo. I don't know
Yes,
if you know
I
ayoyo.
know ayoyo. I
So
love
there's a
ayoyo.
wild ayoyo is not original, like it's sort of not indigenous to us. We have our indigenous ayoyo. The Gomes have their indigenous ayoyo called Salomvomochu. And as of
Mm.
now it's in the market. No one farms this vegetable. It just
Mm.
grows
It's
when it's rainy
seasonal.
season and it's
Mm.
available right now.
I see.
And then even the bitter soup that the bitter soup, the popular bitter soup, we call it bra. There's a wild version of it too.
Wait,
But
the
people
ayoyo,
are
that's the jute leaves, right?
jujute leaves is actually bra.
Okay,
Bra is
okay.
jute leaves. That's what many people call bitter or bitter soup. So there's actually a wild version of it that people forage for when it's rainy season like this, and it's very available right now.
I
But
see.
many people don't know this, or maybe they know they just don't care. They just prefer buying the ones in the market,
Let-
which are
so
not
so
very
let me
organic
clarify
because
something for me though, as the expert, right? Clarify something for me because here and when I say here, I mean in the United States, and I'm sure in a lot of other Western countries, we buy something called molokia, right? From the African stores or from the Asian stores or whatever. And that's what we use to make TZ, right? That's what we use to make that's what the greens in the TZ. Now, I've also seen something packaged as jute leaves, which serves kind of the same purpose. If you go to the African store, you're buying either this or the other one to make your TZ. So I'm trying to find out, is it the same thing or are we just buying a replacement for the ayoyo that we normally use in Ghana?
so ayoyo, I know, like I mentioned, I was told by an old man that was introduced by the Hausa people.
Mm.
And before that we had our own ayoyo, which is still very much available. But the jute leaves has different varieties of it.
Okay.
And sometimes it depends on the location. And
Mm.
even just in Ghana here in Tamale, there are various varieties of jute leaves. There
I
is one
see.
that we use for the jute and the jute ropes, which are it grows very long and it has this bread stem. It also has a tea, but there are also some that are very short. It doesn't grow very long. It's also jute. So, it may be different jute from a different country. I cannot really tell.
I see.
But then even here, I know we have different
I
varieties of the
I
same
see.
jute. But jute is actually different from ayoyo though. Ayoyo is a slimy leaf, very
Yes.
shiny and slimy.
Yes. But ayoyo is what we use for TZ in for most people in at least in the southern part of Ghana,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So when we buy
Accra,
jute
yeah.
leaves from the store, that's what we think we're buying. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, I get you now. But
Okay.
here, because we have different greens,
Mhm.
I don't know why South they are confined to. I don't know why they use only ayoyo for soup for
Yes,
TZ, but we have various greens
because you showed in
various.
that video you showed a certain green, that you said was even slimier than okra.
Very slimy.
Tell
So
us
it's
about
called the
that thing.
bonsalvo.
And are these
Bonsalvo.
things okay? Wait, let me whet people's appetite. Are you available to mail some of these things if people want to buy them? Are they available for
Like,
purchase in your store,
I'm
stuff
already
like that?
doing it. I'm already doing it. I can
Fantastic.
package for you anywhere you want in the world.
Fantastic. So
I can
something like
package.
that one, for instance, remind me that I want some, because as far as I'm concerned, when I'm eating TZ, the slimier the better. So I want some of that in my TZ
Okay.
for sure. But yeah, please go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, you were telling us about that. What's
So
it called? What is it called to start with?
so that one is called Gonsalvo, the slimy leaves
Gonsalvo.
that I
Okay.
was talking about.
Okay.
Gonsalvo. It's also a wild edible. I actually went to forage for it with some old man. And when I came home with the fresh leaves to wash it, the water became it was like a gel. It became very slimy. So it's like you don't even wash it, you just dry it, or I don't know, when you wash it, the water just becomes jelly like substance.
Wow.
The sliminess of it is that much.
Wow.
It's that much. Yeah.
So how do
So
you
that
turn it down
like,
then? How do you turn it down to a soup texture? How do you just add more water?
so after you rinse it off, you boil it. In the one we say kafarli, you add the what's the name kanwa. I don't know if you know kanwa.
Yes. Saltpeter.
So you add
Kanwa,
so
yeah.
you add kanwa. Yeah,
A lot of people
yes.
don't like that, by the way, but yeah, I know what you mean. The thing that makes it slimier.
So you can still go ahead with it
Without it, because
you can eat.
So this is my thing. So from what I know, the kanwa or the kanwe or the kanwu just makes what you are cooking more slimy, right? It makes the okra more slimy.
That's like and also greener. It changes the color.
I see.
Like it makes it more green. It defines the green color of it.
People use
when you add it.
People use baking soda in place of kanwe, right? Is it? Can you use that?
I've used baking soda, but I'm not a fan of it. I prefer using the kanwa. I soak it in water, then I use it. I prefer just kanwa or ashes, clean ashes.
Okay. Or just leave it. Or just leave it as is. Would that work?
Exactly. Just go ahead and make it without.
All right. So
anything.
All right. Go on, please.
Yes. So there's that one. There's the sesame. The sesame. Aside what is the name that we call sesame seeds? There are two varieties here that we should confuse. In Dabani, there's one we call bungu, but the seeds are very similar to pepper seeds that we add to tubani. So here we call them all sesame seeds. So you may mistake it for the sesame seeds that you know, but that's not it anyway. So it also has these green leaves that we consume. It's called carabao, which is also very much underutilized. I had it just once, but I didn't make it well. I didn't cook it well, so I wouldn't say I would say I've never had it because no traditional person has ever made it for me. My grandmother never made it. I've never had it from anyone. When I was just experimenting and researching, and then I came across it, I was told about it, giving the leaves, and I came home and tried it myself, but it didn't go on.
It didn't turn out too good.
So there's that one. And then it also there's this there are a lot of them. I could go on and on. There's this black African plum, we call it ngarama. The tender leaves are also used for soup, which is also underutilized. I've never had it, but I know it's being used for soup. But I've had it in a way we cook it and then we eat it with rice. We call it bora. So you can cook the leaves and then you add it as salad to your main dishes like wache, like green rice. You can just also go ahead and eat the leaves alone, the cooked leaves. You add your pepper, tomatoes, and onions to it, and then oil, and it's very nice. And we have various varieties of those such kind of leaves. We have we have gangari, which is also a wild edible. You cook the leaves. So most of the leaves that I know that we can use for salad, you either cook them, and add them to your dishes. But these are not known because people don't make them anymore. We are so used to rice with lettuce. We don't even know we have our own salads.
Yeah, and then exactly.
We just and also even originally the TZ wasn't made from corn anyway. Corn was introduced. I hope it was introduced to Ghana. Millet is the indigenous staple crop here. The three types of millets that I know are the white, the red, and the pearl millet.
I would give anything to try millet TZ. I'm telling you. I'll give anything to try millet TZ.
And it doesn't have starch, so I think many people that are
diabetic and exactly all of that, trying to lose weight, whatnot. It's almost keto friendly, right? Because it's more fiber. If I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, anything like that, but just common sense will tell you that millet is much more healthier than corn. I'll be right back with you in a quick second. Let me drop a message from our sponsor, right? And then we'll be back in a quick second. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for doing the listening. Wow. I told you I'll be learning more than anything else. And already, if you notice, I have my pen and my paper beside me taking notes. And also making my list of what to order from the Dogo. Yes, indeed. Go there. I'll drop the link to that so you can order your spices and your herbs and your traditional stuff direct from source. Organic. And when we say organic, we're not saying organic as a tag. It's not the supermarket organic. This is organic. But yes, indeed, we thank you, Doc Pam. Doc Pam is the app that you use to get face-to-face interaction with your doctor without leaving your home. Go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download the app. Doc Pam, spelled DOKPAM. Tell you what, when you go there, you'll find two apps with that name. There's a doctor app and there's a patient app. Make sure the one you are downloading is the patient app if you want to use the services of a doctor, unless you are a doctor. And then that way you want to download the doctor app and you have your own private practice via the app Doc Pam. Now, I always want to paint this scenario so people know how good Doc Pam is and how useful it is and why everybody should have it on their phone. Number one fact, the doctor-patient ratio in Ghana, for instance, is abysmal. And that's not because we don't have good doctors. That's only because we don't have a network to get patients to doctors properly. And Doc Pam is here to cure that. What Doc Pam is doing is that if you download the app, let's say you go to the farm, let's say you had an emergency, let's say you're far from the hospital, let's say there's no ambulance available, which is the case in many cases. What you do, you go on Doc Pam, you link up your doctor, you go on video with them, and you ask or you talk to them and you tell them exactly what the issue is. Doctor will tell you what to do in an emergency situation and give you some first aid directions. Tell you what you need to do immediately before you come in and see them if you need to. If you don't need to, good for you. Yes, indeed, that's Doc Pam. Go there, download the app, set up your account, and be a user of the app Doc Pam. We also thank you, odumtree.com. Odumtree is a selling platform for artisans in Ghana. Right now, we know of situations where people go to Ghana and buy things for cents on the dollar and then resell it for a huge profit. No, we want the profit to go directly to the people who make the products. So if you are an artisan of any sort, even if you are a tailor, if you make clothes, anything that you make from Ghana that can be sold, contact them, odumtree.com. Register as a vendor and sell your things on their platform, www.odumtree.com. You can link them up on odumtrees with an S, odumtrees@gmail.com. And we also thank you, Roots Organic Farm. Roots Organic Farm is in Asin Fosu. And they are doing some amazing stuff when it comes to organic farming and preserving the foods that are known to us before Galamsey takes them over. Thank you, Roots Organic Farm. Thank you, all the sponsors. Back on the line with the Dugo. Yes, Amina. So my next question to you is something like shea butter, right? It has such high value outside of where it's produced. If I should put it that way. If you come to the United States, for instance, everything, a lot of things that I don't even believe have shea butter in them carries the tag shea butter. Yet, the people that make it make so little, and we ourselves regard it so little. Why is that? And shea butter is edible too, by the way. I've had shea butter. I've eaten shea butter many times. It's amazing. It tastes great. Why do we have such little regard for shea butter, and why is it that the people who actually produce the shea butter are making so little of the whole thing?
This is a very painful question to answer because I've talked about this a lot of times, even just a few months ago when the prices of stuff were hiking and then oil was very expensive. The gallons or the vegetables oil that we use for our occasions, either wedding, funeral, and then naming ceremonies, were so expensive that people couldn't afford oil. And I was now asking, what happens to shea butter? Shea butter that is being produced here.
Yep.
When I tell you here, people now just see or regard shea butter as hair food and body cream.
Yes.
You wouldn't believe me.
Yes.
Very little people use shea butter here. Very little people. And they go with the excuse that, the sort of indoctrination that they gave us, that when you eat oil, that is solidified.
Yeah.
It goes into your stomach and then it gets into your organs, your intestines. It doesn't digest. It solidifies. All sort of lies we were fed, and these people bought into
People
it.
eat lard, for crying out loud.
And
people eat lard.
And many people come up with the excuses that of the stench of shea butter, they don't like it when they use it to make soups or stews. The stew solidifies and then they don't like it. Meanwhile, there's a way to go about it. But because of all these excuses, little by little, people just, like I said, many people just think shea butter is just hair food.
Most people think it's just for the hair and the skin.
A good example of my friend coming over to my place and I'm making food with shea butter, and she was shocked to know I could use shea butter to make food. And when she tasted it, she was amazed. She asked, she watched the entire time when I made the food, but she still had to go and ask. I heard her ask me, did you really use shea butter to make this food? I never knew we could eat shea butter. Where did you buy your shea butter? And I was like, this is just any shea butter that you buy in the market. There's no particular type of shea butter that you can use for food. It's just the same shea butter that you use on your hair.
Is that true though? Is that true? Because what I heard back in Kumasi growing up was that the shea butter in the north was different because it was fresh. The problem with the shea butter in the south was that by the time it was transported down south, it had attained that texture that people found a bit unattractive, right? But I believe there's a way to preserve it in a way that would be. But is that the case though? Is that the case? Because you're saying that the shea butter is the same one you buy from the market. Can I go to the market and buy a chunk of shea butter and cook with that?
Well, I heard there are dubious people anyway, but I've never enough. I don't think you buy shea butter that is not original or 100% shea butter. Maybe in the South, people may mix up things just to make profits. But here, I've never witnessed something like that. But I've heard these stories anyway. But here, the only difference I know is some people adding this yellow to their shea butter to change the color to yellow. At the end of the day,
what's the difference? Why is some of it pale and why is some of it yellow? Why is that?
It's a kind of root. I don't know it actually. It's a kind of root that they add to the boiling process. When it's boiling, then they add it to change the color. I don't know why they do that anyway.
I see.
Maybe to make it look appealing, but I would still prefer to just buy my white shea butter.
But it's a root. It's not a chemical. It's an organic.
It's not a chemical. It's a root, and it's also
good.
So
it still remains.
It's an herb.
Nice.
Now, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've never really asked why, but I will do that.
So back to my question though. Can I buy a chunk of shea butter from, say, New York? It's stayed for many months, right? Imagine how many months it would have stayed from the processing time before it came through the ports to whatever, before it sat on the shelf for so long, and then just buy a chunk. And sometimes they put it in a tub, right? God knows what process they go through to put it in that tub. You know, I wouldn't trust that. Would you? Would you trust something like that?
I don't get you. Can you come again?
So I'm saying that the shea butter that I can get, right, living in the United States, or people living outside of Ghana, most often the shea butter they have access to would be shea butter that has sat for many months, has traveled, gone through a whole process, and sometimes they even put it in small tubs, right, to make it unit for you to buy. They put it in small tubs, and I don't even know what process they go through to put it in those tubs, right? It looks very level and everything. I don't know if they melt it, and I don't know what goes on. So I'm saying I wouldn't trust to buy that and cook with that, right?
Honestly, no.
Yes.
I wouldn't trust to buy that.
But let's bring it down a notch. Let's say I'm in Kumasi, and then I find shea butter that has been not too, maybe a couple months, maybe even weeks or whatever. Can I buy the shea butter that they buy in that I used to buy for my hair in Ghana? Can I buy that and cook with that?
Well, if it's packaged in those cream containers, I would not advise you buy that one, because I wouldn't believe that they've not added any chemical, processing in the way, anything, nothing. I will not trust that. People will say natural shea butter, original, organic, blah blah blah, but I don't think they've added stuff that you and I don't know. But shea butter, it is packaged in large containers that I know not less now do, and then they export it. They just add the raw shea. They just package the raw shea butter.
I'm still interested in cooking with my shea butter. I'm still interested in cooking with my shea butter. So I'm going to rephrase my question. Let's say I found Sani, right? Sani was a friend of mine, growing up in Abuabu in Kumasi. So Sani has her tub. She used to store the butter in what do you call it? Calabash, big gourds, right? So if I find something like that and I get a piece of that, that's okay to cook with. You're saying?
Yes, please. Exactly.
Okay.
That's original.
Okay.
It's okay to cook. And when you bring shea butter out of the sun, please, and it's still frozen and then I don't trust it. It melts a lot.
Yes.
So you see someone selling shea butter in the market, and then the person is drizzling water on it and everything, and then still the shea butter is stiff, and so you don't trust shea butter like that. But the ones in the Calabasas and the gorge, I believe that's how it's been packaged.
That's the original. Yes.
That's how it's been packaged. So when you buy, I believe you go ahead and get it. I don't know. People are so these days. People can buy and still make that with and still package it that way now. I don't know. Well, original. People do a lot of stuff for money. Like these days, the cow milk and it's original cow milk. You're
Mm.
lying. Even honey, when you buy honey from the market, just know that you are buying sugar.
Sugar, and some melted poison.
Exactly.
God
And
knows.
some people go ahead to melt foam.
That's
Just
what I've
push
heard.
foam.
That's
They
what I've
melt
heard.
foam, they melt sugar, and they add a bit of honey to it. So I'm very I don't
Which
know.
is
I don't want to
why
say so much,
I
too much,
really
and then
respect what you are
guide
doing.
people because
This is why I really, really respect what you are doing. What you are doing is ordained. Look, your ancestors will be proud of you, and your descendants will be grateful to you. You understand? Because what you are doing is next level. I was in Ghana recently. I was in Kumasi, and I went to the house, to the home of a friend of mine, traditional person. He has this, and he's also doing some amazing stuff like that, but he's doing something slightly different. He's trying to preserve the original plants that we used to have, like, okay, so you are preserving them as food, right? He's preserving them as crops.
Okay, so the
Mhm.
whole concept is not just preserving the ingredients alone.
Mm.
Our mission is to revitalize the indigenous crops too, as well as the recipes.
Wow. And encourage farmers to grow them.
I even started a garden. I just sort of moved out of my own father's house because I got married, and I intend, my husband and I, we are planning to start a garden again. Because we want to promote this home gardening thing in northern region that people have not doing it. People are not doing it anymore. So we are also doing crops anyway. So I'm collecting seeds. I'm collecting seeds, indigenous plants. I started this way back, and it was thriving.
What kind of support do you get? What how do people respond to what you are doing? The people around you, the community itself, the older people that you get the knowledge from, do they show some interest in what you're doing?
Very. They show interest. They are happy that I'm doing this. Sometimes they are amazed when I ask them certain questions. They call me the original ancestor and then because they know these things, they don't care about them anymore. They're just going with the masses, the growth, the enlightenment, contemporary, anything and everything that is coming along. And you are coming to ask them these questions, making this food and then presenting it to them. They are surprised. Why are you even interested, girl? So yeah, they are very supportive. They answer my questions. They provide me with all the information that I need. Supportive. I mean, with encouragement, words of encouragement, and then all. Yeah, it's there. And some of them they go and to bring me seeds from villages because some of the crops that I want. I'm telling that there were these particular sword beans that I was looking for that took me forever to find. One man had to go to a certain village to find me that those sword beans. Another curtains granules. Far village. He went and found them for me. So they are really supportive with the information, providing me information and then seeds and then the plants.
Speaking of beans, so you cook a lot of vegan foods, right? What type of traditional protein sources are available for vegan? Let me tell you something though, FYI. I have a cook show myself, right? It's not doing half as well as yours by any stretch of the imagination, but at least my idea was that being so as a Rasta man, as a vegan, I don't even like the word vegan to be honest with you, but I just use it to describe, so people understand everything. But as somebody who does not eat meat and animal derivatives, whatnot, there's always a challenge. How do you replace your protein, right? Especially if you are used to foods like fufu and banku and TZ and all of these things, which rely on meat as the protein, protein factor. So I started my cook show to try to introduce alternative ways of making these foods without actual meat. It's called Ital Mukasi. I'll show you. I'll share the links with you after this interview. But my question to you is that as somebody who cooks for vegans, who was also preserving the knowledge of the foods in that area. How would people living in that area preserve a good diet if they stayed away from the meat and the cow and all of that, and still want to enjoy the local foods, all the food that you've mentioned? And I've seen a crazy amount of foods on your Facebook page. Some of them I don't even know what they are. I'm dying to try
Yeah.
all of them. But what would be your advice for, say, plant protein for traditional sources for a vegan?
So I've not really encountered many vegans,
Mm,
like northern vegans. I've just come across one white, no, maybe two or three white people that have come to my kitchen that were vegans
mm,
or vegetarians that wanted plant-based protein.
I see.
But with here, honestly, you won't find vegans or northern black Nogumba vegans.
Mm,
So I don't know if we had people that were vegans,
okay.
indigenous vegans, I don't know.
Okay.
But when
That's it.
they come
Yes.
to
Sorry.
me, I eat
Mhm.
beans. We have
Okay.
various type of beans
Mm-hmm.
that are indigenous that I know. Like I mentioned, the curtains granules.
Yes.
I would share with you, but you could read about it.
Mm-hmm.
These black eyed pea beans that we have, black eyed pea, and then they are nothing to compare to curtains granules when it comes to the protein content.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it's also very indigenous. It's indigenous granite. It actually grows underneath the ground like barbara beans,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just beans, very tiny beans.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have sanji that I make. When you look on my feed, you see these brown beans that I usually add to my meals.
Mm-hmm.
In
But so
something
Amina, I would also
Mm,
want to find out your opinion on this, because even though you said there may not be too many northern vegans or whatever, I still think that some of our foods are naturally vegan, being that
yes, no,
they
they
don't
are.
incorporate any type of animal protein, right? Don't you have
Honest,
recipes like that?
honestly, we have a lot of meals that you don't need to add fish or
Mm-hmm.
meat to.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of them, like, and I could even say almost all of our meals are vegan meals.
Mostly, the way I
Because
see it.
I'm telling you, it's just us now incorporating and then improvising and changing the presentation of all these meals. Honestly, indigenously, northern meals, half or more than half of them are actually vegan
I
meals.
think it's more than half. I think it's like 70% at least.
Oh,
Because come to think of it, even
honestly,
teaser, right? The meat is
yes.
an addition to it. Like you add the meat as a stew type thing that you add to it. You can actually make the entire meal as I see it, as I learned to make it and everything, really does not need the meat. The meat is like an add-on. It's like adding an egg to gari and beans, for instance.
Mhm.
The gari and beans is a
And
complete meal.
that,
It doesn't need the egg.
that reminds me, Northerners were not even meat eaters. We weren't used to eating meat or consuming meat. You would only see a Northerner
Interesting.
cooking the meat in his or her house when there's a visitor.
Or it's a festive occasion.
Festive occasion or when there's a visitor, they
Yep.
slaughter a fowl for the
Mhm.
visitor.
Mhm.
But meat was not
There you
occasional
go.
part of our meals. No,
There you go.
it wasn't. And even now, like I mentioned, we have Yoro, we have Guara, we have Numbeka. These meals are prepared 100% leaves with grains and then oil, no meat, no fish. But now people eat Numbeka and they add fish to it, which is not the original presentation of the meal.
Because someone poisoned their minds that they have to add some type of protein to it, right?
And it's already protein. This Nyombeka that I'm talking about, we use beans leaves.
Mm-hmm.
You use the beans leaves and then you pound it. I'll send you a picture of it. And then you
Mm-hmm.
add corn grits to it. So beans leaf is already protein.
Mm-hmm.
It's already protein. The greens is already protein. And then you now add corn grits to it. That's carbohydrates, and then your shea butter, and then your own meals. But now people add fish to this meal. And there's this Gora thing that I was talking about too. You boil the leaves, you add kose to it. Kose is made out of beans.
Yes.
And still people
That's
go ahead
actually
and add
protein.
meat and
That's actually protein right there.
which is not needed. It's not needed.
Mm.
It's now we are now eating because we can provide, because it's available.
Yeah.
In a more luxurious way, but it's not because it's needed, or it's because it was presented that way. No, we have wasa wasa.
Mm-hmm.
We have wasa wasa made out of yam. Wasa wasa wasn't eaten with spaghetti, but now people add spaghetti to wasa wasa, and it's like it's part of it now.
You see, that's
when you
interesting.
Buy now you add spaghetti to it.
And thank you for bringing this up, because maybe you can help me answer this question. I had a discussion with a friend of mine, right? She's from, where's she from? Oh God. Somewhere in the Caribbean, actually. I forget the country right now. She's from the Caribbean someplace. And we had this discussion about, foods and whatnot. And then the question of spaghetti in wache came up. And for the life of me, I could not explain how spaghetti, which is, an Italian or whatever thing, found its way into wache. Can you help me with that? How did spaghetti find its way into wache?
Oh, I wish I could explain that as well. Just as I could not explain how spaghetti was into wasa wasa. I couldn't.
What's tubani made of? Tubani, what's it made of?
Tubani is made out of either bambaram beans or beans, but I would prefer using bambaram beans for my tubani because of the smell. It has different aromas. When you either use beans or bambaram beans, but you achieve the same meal anyway. So we have two types anyway. We have gabele and we have tubani. Tubani is the one that is wrapped up in the leaf, and the gabele is the one that they make like dumplings. They put in the water to cook, to boil. It's all steam anyway. Tubani is steam. What's the name? Gabele is steam. But at the end of the day, the difference is that gabele, we add cassava flour to it to make it very sticky, and then sort of gummy and then starchy. But then the tubani is like it's different. It feels like foamy, sort of fufu. I don't know how to really put this in English, but they are all made beans or bambaram beans.
I see.
Then we garnish it with the same peanut powder. But peanut powder too is not indigenous anyway. The sesame seeds I was talking about, we'll roast it and then we'll pound it, and then we add pepper and salt in it. That was what we used to garnish tubani. But now people have replaced with the peanut powder, the defatted peanut powder.
Wow. And then one other thing that's okay. Our time is fast running out. But sorry about that. Our time is fast running out, but how time flies. Wow. I still, what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct everybody to your page so that all the other questions that I couldn't ask you, they possibly can find answers to over there, or they can actually have direct contact to you as well. But let's squeeze this in. Dawa dawa is another thing that really attracts everybody's interest. It's such a nutritious element to a lot of dishes, recipes and stuff, but people cannot handle it in its raw state. Tell us about dawa.
Because of the fermentation, I think that's right. When it's fermented,
but
dawa, the tree, we call it dutia. So the seeds, before you get to the seeds, there's a fruit around it which is called dori, a very yellowish fruit that you have to eat to get to the seed. So they now use the beans, that seed, to make the dawa. So when it's boiled, it's cooked overnight. It takes a very long period to cook the beans. Before it ferments, you can actually eat these beans. It's very nice. You just add salt to it. I will send you a picture of fresh dawa before it ferments. You can chew it. You can eat it. You snack. When you snack on dawa, fresh dawa, you don't have to add it to soup or stew or anything. You just fetch it like this.
And it's pure protein.
Very nice. It's very nice. But people don't know this because the fresh state doesn't always. They are in the process of making the fermented dawa, so it's not made for sale. It's either when someone is in your house making dawa, that's when you really get the chance to eat the fresh state of it. So after they cook it, they now fermented. The fermented version of it is what stinks, and people don't like it.
Yeah,
and when you dry it, when you sun dry it very well, the stain goes away, and then
Okay.
you can keep it in a jar and use it for your
I
stew
think that's the
and
best way
soups
to
and then
do it. Keep it in a jar, right? But I'll tell you
mm,
a quick joke. One, first of all, before I tell you the joke, Dawadawa is also one thing that I watched a video of the process of it being made, and I don't understand why it is that cheap. If you look at the amount of labor that goes into it, I think Dawadawa
liver.
deserves a little more respect than it's got right now. Hashtag
Yes.
Dawadawa deserves its respect. Hashtag that straight out. But let me tell you my
Yes.
little joke too. So I went to a store in New York to buy, to shop
Mm,
for my food, right? And I was going to make
mm.
teas that day. So I asked the woman if she had dawadawa. And the dawadawa she had did not stink at all. It was completely washed, and you could see the beans individually, and it was tied in a bag. And I'm like, nah, wait there, abroche dawadawa. Me pegana dawadawa ni bi.
But was it very dry?
It wasn't even dry. It was kind of moist. It was moist,
Um,
and it was tied in a
if
bag.
it's moist and it doesn't stench, then that's not dawa dawa.
No, so I didn't think it was
You
dawadawa,
put
because
sugar on it. If it's granite,
the effect that
you
I
use sugar.
wanted from Dawadawa, I didn't believe that was going to give me that effect. So I ended up not buying it. And
Not
funny
buying.
enough,
No.
she felt offended that I said her Dawadawa was a bruche Dawadawa.
That was a scam. That was a scam of dawa dawa.
I'm telling you, I didn't buy that Dawadawa.
Oh,
No, I know my Dawadawa. Anyway, before we
yeah.
go though, let's spend the rest of the time on your business. You have a restaurant or a shop, right? In Tamale. Tell us about it.
Yes, so it's more like a studio kitchen because, like I said, I was doing a TV show and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
it was originally set up for a studio to come to continue my TV show. But I sort of changed the direction to just start making the meals, so people will come for an experience, learn more about it, cook with them, that they try all these new meals and all that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
actually a small space. So even though I would call it a restaurant, but it's a very small space,
Nice. No, I
which is
love the concept of it. There are, there, are-
Tamale.
there are places in New York, in even Washington, D.C., in places like Detroit that I've been to that have a similar ambience like what you have, judging from the pictures that I've seen, right? Yeah, it has
Wow.
that. And people will actually even pay extra to go to places like that. So I really
Wow.
respect what you're doing. They're very, very, very nice. So yeah, tell us more about it. What do you offer food, and you also offer cooking lessons and
Cooking
stuff like that? Hmm.
classes, when you want an experience, when you want to learn how to make a meal, when you want to buy some ingredients, when you want
Hmm.
to try new foods, you just contact me,
Hmm.
and then you make a reservation, and then we'll prepare towards it. Because I don't make the food every day because people will not buy when I
Hmm.
make all the various traditional meals. So
Hmm.
I started with dawa dawa jollof. I was selling on weekends. People were buying. But at the end of the day, someone at the roadside will be selling dawa dawa jollof for 2 cedis. I can make dawa dawa jollof in my kitchen and I'll sell it for two
Yeah,
cedis.
yeah, yeah.
There was difference because I use organic ingredients. I won't
Yes,
use sachet tomatoes. I won't
yes,
use
yes.
preservatives. I won't use all these spices.
Exactly.
There was different. People loved it. They like
And
it, but
cheap canola oil.
yeah, the organic or the more organic it is, the expensive, the money will be different from the roadside meals.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I offer, yeah, you can either make an order or reserve, and then I'll make the meal solely for you if you
Hmm.
want.
I see.
Solely for you because I don't get up every day to make meals, but when you want me to make something for you,
I
when you
see.
place an order, I will cook for you.
And the
I'll cook
classes,
for you.
they are
Any
online
meal that
classes,
you
or you have to book to come in and actually be present to learn how to cook.
you have to book to come. I've not started online classes yet,
Okay.
but I could if anyone wanted that.
And do like
I could.
demonstrations for them via Zoom, or WhatsApp
Yeah,
video or
yeah.
something like that.
I would demonstrate. I've actually taught my younger sister who is in Germany how to make wasa wasa, and it was through video call. But because she's my sister, I didn't consider that one as an online class. She was there. She was craving wasa wasa. She hadn't had it in 2 years, so she had someone send her the flour, and then I took her through the process. She made it. It was 100%. It came out perfect. She has
Nice.
been making it. So she
Nice.
has been making wasa. So if anyone wanted the cooking classes online, I would do that. But personally, too, I've taken people through cooking lessons. And then also people found the same video that you found, and then they asked me to send them ingredients,
Nice.
organize all these greens, millet and everything. I've sent it. Even that was just even last week that I sent it over to Australia. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So
Australia, which
when you
part of
order
Australia? Perth?
so I actually sent it to Accra to the husband to send it to
Okay,
that
okay.
woman in
All right.
Australia, Madam Belinda. I know she's in Australia, but I didn't ask her which town exactly.
Okay.
So I
All
sent
right.
it to the husband in Accra, who in turn sent it to her in
Nice.
Australia.
So
Yes.
now let me ask you then. So
Yes.
if we want to order directly from you, right? So a lot of people are listening to us from all over the world, any part of the world, including Australia, right? Or Canada or wherever, United States. If I, for instance, want to order, what's the process? How do I go through it? Let's say I want to have a grocery list of, a few ingredients that I need from you, or even if it's just one ingredient that I need from you. Let's say I need some ayoyo, dried ayoyo, or some dried that stuff that we talked about. Don't forget. You remember I asked you to remind me. You didn't do your job.
The leaves, right?
Yes.
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Let's say I want that, for instance. What's the procedure? How do I get it?
So the person should get in touch with us on Facebook. When you just go our WhatsApp number, we don't have the website yet that you can go and then order. But then our Facebook platform is there, our Instagram is there, and our WhatsApp contact is there as well.
Okay, and the Facebook page is called Dudugu. Dudugu is spelled Duduhgu, right? Duhgu. Dudugu.
My contact is 024 620 7738. Anyone can reach me on WhatsApp with that contact. So when it's outside the country, you have to add the +233 324 620 7738. +233 24 620 7738. And then I'll send you a list of our spices and ingredients. If you have a specific spice or ingredient or grains that you want, you can also tell me, and I'll organize and then send it over.
Fantastic. You are doing such a great job. And like I said, everybody, those who have gone, those who are still living, and those who are yet to come, will all be very proud of what you are doing. Because you know what? Food security is essential for every people. And we cannot afford to mortgage our food preferences for what's on the market right now. I watched this documentary on tomatoes. It made me so angry and sad, almost depressed. There was this young man who sold his tomato farm in the Sunyani area, and just to go to Italy, right? And he got to Italy only to go do what? Guess what? To go pick tomatoes.
Oh my God.
He sold his farm to go to Italy.
Tomato farm.
His whole entire farm. He had it's by Al Jazeera. I'll send you the link as well. My voice is already quavering. It's very sad. He sold his entire tomato farm, went to Italy to go pick tomatoes, and they didn't even have a place to sleep. They were sleeping in tents.
Imagine
right?
That one.
And then the worst part of why I actually brought this story up is that the Chinese have also jumped in the fray, and now there's this brand called Gino, right? They produce their own version called Gina, and then with that they're filling that with like 70% fillers, which means it's only 30% tomato puree and 70% soya beans. So they are selling you soybean powder as tomato paste. How the heck is that going to taste the same as food from Dudugu? So you have to go to Dudugu and buy food. And for all tourists, I'm telling you, anytime you're in Ghana, make it a point. Because when you go to Ghana and you just lurk around Accra, you ain't seen none. Go up there, go up all the way, right? And on your way up, stop by Tamale and go to Dudugu and have the meal of your life. And know that you'll be supporting something that is great, simply put. Thank you very much, Amina. Thank you so much. Before we go, though, let me ask you, would you be interested in reviving your show for TV?
I would love to, because I believe that's the only way I will reach our villages. I will get them to change their mindsets and to go back to these bills to revive them. But then I don't know, sponsorship. I have to get sponsorship, right? To go back on set. I have to buy airtime. I have to have a camera crew, editors, everything, and all these. But I'm just doing
let's
this with
have
my
a chat
husband
on
and
the
my
side.
uncle.
Let's have a chat on the side about
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah, I would
Let's
love
have a
to.
chat on the side about that, because I think it's something that needs to be done. I'll call you
Okay.
back in a little bit after I sign off, and then maybe we can set the ball rolling on that subject. All right. But thank you very, very, very much, Amina. Thank you so much. You've made this such an enriching discussion for
Thank you
me.
very much too for having me. I honestly appreciate this. Thank you very much for doing this.
And I appreciate
Selling me out,
I appreciate
exposing
you
me, and
responding
everything.
to us.
I appreciate.
Any last word before we go? Any shout outs, whatever. Shout outs to your husband first of all.
So any shout out that I would be giving would go straight to my uncle first, who has provided me with all the financial support to set up my studio kitchen, to support my dream, everything that I started. He provided. When I say I want this, he gives me anything that he support. He's very supportive of my dreams. So shout out to my uncle, his uncle Abu, and then also to my husband, who is very supportive of this dream and this concept of the Dubu, and to anyone and everyone on social media that is supporting this concept, that is appreciative or appreciating this concept. I thank you very much. I appreciate you. I'm grateful. Let's keep doing this. Let's revive our culture, our meals, which is a very important cornerstone to our tradition. Please let's not think it's poor people that eat their traditional meals. That's all I have to say. And then anyone that listens or that is listening that is concerned about this, you can go on Facebook and then follow us, get in touch. Let's see how we can all make this dream a reality. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amina Audu, aka Dudubu. Thank you very much, and we'll be touching base with you again. Yes, indeed. Wow. I feel hungry already talking now about all that food. But yes, indeed, thank you very much, Amina Awudu Dudugu. Thank you for such an enlightening discussion. And I want to say thank you also to my team, especially to you, Miss Sylvia Amankwa, Miss Abe Gold. Salute. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ice. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, the entire team. And before I leave, let me tell you once more about DocPalm. Please go and download the DocPalm app, all right? And we'll see you next Sabbath with a next topic. Until then, my name, Jah Beloved, I'm out like a light. Respect one and all.
Out of my way, I'm riding high on the King's Highway. Sweet reggae music playing night and day. So we play and